So good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. And even with the videotape on, I just said tape. Even with the video on, it's important to remember to screw up like you mean it, make all the mistakes you usually do. It's not about perfection, it's about allowing our mistakes to be useful. So let's start by coming into a wide knee child's pose. Take your knees as far as they go. Big toes touching, stretching your arms out. Feel your hips sink down. Take a big inhale, and with your exhale, just sigh up. Take a couple of breaths to notice how your body is feeling this morning. Notice the parts that are achy. Notice the parts that actually maybe feel strong and good. And then turn your attention to your energy. How are sensations moving through your body? Like what? Our body allows us to feel. Allows us to have an inroad into this physical, earthly world. With your next inhale, and just check out and see how your heart is feeling. How your mood is this morning. And then notice how your thinking has been. Maybe you've been up for hours making delicious cakes. Maybe you just woke up. Notice how your thinking has been. And then squeeze your knees together. Let your arms come back behind you, towards your feet. And then inhale and slide forward, coming into Sphinx pose. This is one of these really simple yin poses. Your elbows just slightly in front of your shoulders. Legs wide, heavy. You can let your shoulders even fall up into your ears, or you can pull your shoulders down. But it's a very simple and effective yin pose. This pressure in the lower back is a healing pressure. Take a couple moments to imagine where you are on your fairy tale. So if your life was a fairy tale, which part are you at? Are you fighting a big dragon? Are you rescuing a prince? Or maybe lost in the dark woods? I heard this poem shared by Orland the other day via video. And it was written in 1920s in Harlem, during the Harlem Renaissance. And the words of this poem are just, I love them. They reach so deep into really old occult ideas. The Negro speaks of rivers. I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood and human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. By Langston Hughes. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. Imagining our soul deep as the rivers. Imagining our soul traveling. Just imagine, even if it's not in your beliefs, but imagine our soul traveling from lifetime to lifetime. Or really, this idea more of the spirit being the eternal part of us. But the soul is the part that, in some pictures, that conducts a relationship between our earthly, time-bound, physical personality and self, body, as well as our eternal, invisible, and spiritual self. So that the soul is always trying to make that relationship have the best flow, good velocity. Take 10 more full deep breaths here. In the Native American understanding of rivers, one of their biggest jobs is actually to communicate how the land is doing over large areas. So part of the protest to any dams being built is that it cuts off communication throughout the earthly land. And this picture of the soul communicating between the time-bound and the eternal, the physical and the invisible. If you reach 10 breaths, slowly come down to the mat. Wiggle your hips, maybe make some faces, moan and groan a little bit. Shift your hips back to your heels and sit up. We're going to come into kind of sitting on our knees and tuck your toes under, unless that makes you feel like you're getting electric shock therapy. This is kind of like it's like an acupressure move, because you're stimulating all the meridians that start and end in the toes. So it's like a big bring your hands to prayer. And let's start to wake up the warmth in our practice with sound. So we're going to Om. Sometimes it sounds pretty. It doesn't have to. But notice the vibrations in the back of the throat as you make sound. Empty your breath. Take a deep inhale. And then bring your hands forward and slap out your feet. And then rock back onto your heels to stretch the top of your feet. And then rock forward and come into downward facing dog. So move your dog around a little bit. You want to feel the weight between your hands and your feet. Absolutely. Make some horse noises. Spread out your fingers. Maybe smile already at the mat. See if you can lift up your toes, stretch out your toes. So take a big inhale, and with your exhale, empty your breath all the way. Look forward and walk your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, glide your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down. Push down with your feet, rise up tall, lift up high to the sky. And then exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, reach up tall. Exhale, bow forward, softening your knees. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, and then step back to plank. Now drop your chest, chin, and knees for Ashtanga Namaskar. It's like a zigzag motion. Your butt's as high in the air as you can get it. And then inhale, low cobra. Legs stay on the ground, toenails push down, chest lifts up. Exhale, downward facing dog. So Ashtanga Namaskar is a little bit awkward when we first do it, but it's a really nice strengthener that probably will be more effective than just going from plank to the ground, engaging and strengthening your abdominal muscles as well as having this little back bend. Never mind. Back bend is little, the inchworm thing. Take another full inhale. Empty your breath entirely, look forward, and as you inhale, hop forward or walk forward, lifting up into halfway lift. Beautiful. Exhale, release and bow down, let your head go, let your head drop. Push down with your feet and rise up tall. And then exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Step back to plank. This time, shift your body forward and lower halfway down, Chaturanga. Keep your legs lifting. Inhale, upward facing dog. Toenails pushing to the ground, thighs floating. And exhale, downward facing dog. So that is a little bit more intense on your abdominal muscles and your lower back. If it's too intense, just do what we did in the first one, Ashtanga Namaskar and low cobra. Trying to breathe through your nose will help you find more of a rhythmical breath. Take another full inhale, empty your breath all the way. Look forward and let your next inhale bring you all the way forward up into the halfway lift. Exhale, release and bow down. Push down with your feet, rise up even higher. Feel your heels reach down as your hands reach up. Exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, stretch up tall. Exhale, release and bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Keeping your back long, now hop back to Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Toenails on the ground. Exhale, downward facing dog. Organically feel your hips pull up and back. You want to push down through the first knuckles of your thumb and your index fingers. And then you imagine the middle of your hands nearly lifting up from the mat. Take another full inhale. Empty your breath all the way and float your feet with the next inhale. Or walk or hop or jump or some combo. Lifting up, halfway lift. Exhale, release and bow down. Push down with your feet, rise up tall. And then exhale, Samasthiti. Toes and heels together. Bend your knees deeply. Inhale, lift up. Utkatasana. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float. Exhale, Chaturanga, or whatever your vinyasa is. Inhale, upward facing dog. Let the tops of your feet come down to the ground. Exhale, downward facing dog. Step your right foot to your right thumb, and this time let your left heel be lifted and come up into crescent lunge. One breath. And then exhale, sweep Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Nice. Exhale, downward facing dog. Step your left foot to your left thumb. Your right heel is lifted. Rise up. Anjaneyasana. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So we're starting with Anjaneyasana instead of Virasana. Letting your hips warm up a little bit more before we go into the warrior pose. Warrior one. It's actually quite challenging on our hips. Take a quick look at your hands and see that your middle finger, or the space in between your middle finger and your index finger, are pointing straight forward, as if they were an extension of your forearm. Then relax your gaze in between your feet. Feel your hips pull up and back. Empty your breath all the way. And float your feet forward on your next inhale. Exhale, release and bow down. Bend your knees, drop your butt, inhale, Utkatasana. It's like Ashtanga Namaskar but in the sky. Inhale. Exhale, Samastitihi. Okay, inhale. Let's take some extra breaths in this vinyasa. So feel the different curves in your body. Not like your feminine curves or your manly curves, but more the curves in your spine. Let your hips sink down as your heart lifts up. Let your arms extend. Maybe have a hint of a smile. Just a hint. Doesn't have to be a big one, do I say? Take a full inhale. It should feel and taste good. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Feel your abdominals engaged and float back to Chaturanga. So if you're jumping, go straight to Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg long. And then with your exhale, step your right foot all the way forward to your right thumb. And inhale, lift up, crescent lunge. So your hips are squared forward with your back heel lifted. So when you lift your back heel, this allows you to square your hips more. And it's just a gentler way to warm up the hips than warrior one. If it's too easy for you, feel free to go into a back bend here. Reach through your fingertips, feel alive even when you're being still in a pose. Take another full inhale. And exhale, ride your breath all the way down. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, extend your left leg. And exhale, bring your left foot all the way forward to your left thumb, even if you just walk it. Rise up, Anjaneyasana. So with your back heel lifted, you're pushing with your heel into nothing, like it's something solid. And you'll feel your right thigh come towards your hamstring. It should be a strong back leg, like your strong foundation, like good years in kindergarten. Mm-hmm. Where can you get more powerful in the pose to find more freedom in the pose? Take another full inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Feel your Ujjayi breath by engaging your Uddiyana Bandha and your root lock. When you breathe this Ujjayi breath, you can nearly feel that you're breathing more into the back of your lungs, not just the front of your lungs. Take another full inhale. Pull your hips up and back. Exhale, look forward and let your next breath take you forward and inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release and bow down. Let your head drop. Bend your knees, drop your butt. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk, fly, or float. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. And with your exhale, just touch your right knee to your left elbow. Little transverse abdominal work. Inhale, extend your right leg. Exhale, step your right foot to your right thumb. Rise up, Anjaneyasana. And with your exhale, bring your hands to heart center and twist to your right, bringing your elbow to the outside, the left elbow to the outside of your right knee. So you actually let your knee and elbow touch so that you can use that resistance to open up your chest more as you push down your lower hand. Feel the twist of your spine on the exhale. Take a full inhale here, and then exhale, warrior two, facing the opposite direction. Beautiful. Then inhale, extend your right leg, and come into triangle pose. So lengthen out over your leg, and then bring your hand to either your shin or hooking onto your big toe. You can imagine that you have a straight line from your middle finger to your middle finger. I had the pleasure of doing this once with a yoga teacher with a French military background. And we did this with a staff behind our back, holding on to with both hands. Take another full inhale. I don't have any of those today. It's like giant Eurythmia rods. Now imagine that you're holding this huge beach ball. Enjoy your abdominals kicking in, and inhale, lift up. And then switch sides. And you're going to take your right arm around. So you're going to come into rotated triangle pose and bring your right hand to your left shin. Bring your left hand to your hip, pull your hip back, and with your exhale, twist, extending maybe your left arm up to the sky. Take another full inhale. Exhale, twist. Then come unwinding, come back, facing the front of the mat, switch your feet. A little jittery, okay. Let your back heel lift up, Anjaneyasana, and then with your exhale, chaturanga. We'll find the flow on the other side a little bit better. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, left hand side. Inhale, stretch your left leg long. Exhale, bend your knee, bring your knee across your body, touch your right elbow. Inhale, stretch your left leg long. Exhale, step your left foot forward to your left thumb, rise up, crescent lunge. And then with your exhale, bring your hands to heart center and twist to your left. Push down on your lower palm to let your heart lift up. See if you can get powerful and strong in your back leg. Even if you have the coolest velour pink pants on. Exhale, feel the twist more here. Inhale, and then exhale, open up, warrior two. Now inhale, straighten your left leg. Pull your left hip underneath your right hip. Extend out over your left leg and find your way into triangle pose. You want to spin your back toes in so your knees and your toes, just your one knee, are facing the same direction. And maybe a slightly bigger step. Yeah, you got it. You want to feel that you're rolling your left ribs to forward, it would be for you. Reach through your fingertips. Now imagine that you're carrying a big, huge beach ball. And inhale, lift up. And then to hell with the beach ball. And bring your hands to your hips. And we're going to rotate to the back of the room. Let your back toes spin around. You might even find that if you're not so flexible in your hips, you need to move your left foot to the left. Hips square to the back of the room. Reach your left arm long, and with your exhale, hinge forward, bringing your left hand onto your shin. Inhale, lengthen your spine here. Then exhale, twist your spine, and maybe open up your right arm. Allow yourself to breathe, even if it's uncomfortable or awkward. From here, we're going to spin all the way back around to the front of the mat, lifting our back heel into Anjaneyasana and exhale, Chaturanga. See, it is possible. Inhale, upward facing dog or the cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. So twists really stimulate your digestion, massaging all your organs. Take another full inhale, hips pull up and back. Empty your breath all the way, and then float your feet forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release and bow down. Then bend your knees, drop your hips. Inhale, Utkatasana. And with your exhale, bring your hands to heart center and twist to your right. Now maybe you stretch your arms out here, maybe you don't. Let your elbow hook. Slide your hips back to center. So it's like bringing your left knee back. And then bend your knees more. Let your heels lift up, staying in the twist. Come down close enough to the floor so you can touch the floor, staying in the twist. And put your palms flat on the ground, your hands about shoulder distance. Then bend your elbows. If you're just starting this out for the first time, you can bring your right elbow to your right hip. Whoosh. But if not, you can keep your elbow up. Bend your elbows and see if maybe today you can come up into side crow here. Think yes. In crow, that would be like caw, 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 caw. Beautiful. It might be falling on your ass asana. That's on the way. Come back to center. And inhale. Utkatasana. I know. We're going to go there in a second. Utkatasana. And with your exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Twist. Do as I say, not as I do. Twist to the left. Now lovingly, maybe bring your feet together and pull your right knee back. Maybe you feel comfortable opening up your arms here. Maybe not. And then as you let your heels lift up, drop down. Bring your hands to the floor. Your hands are about shoulder distance apart. Bend your elbows, using your left elbow as a training wheel. And bring the weight to your fingertips, balancing on the back of your arms. And if you're falling, the floor is pretty close. So just a general rule of thumb is like, it's a little bit like you're on fire. If you're falling, just drop and roll. Okay, come back to the center, and this time, you got it. Come into Malasana, goddess pose. You're right, every pose is a goddess pose, but this one's called goddess pose. Let your heart lift up, feel your elbows pulling your knees back, pushing your knees back. Maybe even here, engaging your root lock. And then we're going to try and wiggle our shoulders underneath our thighs. It doesn't totally work yet, maybe. And then you're going to reach up and hold onto your bottom. So check it out. Wiggle, 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 and then see if maybe you can take your hands to your buttocks. Beautiful. And then release and come back into goddess pose. You know, one of the things I love about a practice is it helps me kind of like kick my own ass and I feel liberated from it. But you know, there's also like strange things like putting the foot on the back of your head as a sensation that you just don't get any other way, or seeing if you can actually grab your own butt. Frees you up to not need that from others, you know? All right, we're going to try and wiggle our shoulders underneath our thighs again, but this time hands on the floor, and then just see if you can maybe wiggle your feet together or if you can come up into Titivasana. Maybe, baby. So Titivasana is where you extend your legs, and I'm not warmed up in my wrists, so I'm not going to do it. But you can stretch your legs straight out. You want to show us, Dorothea?
No.
No. Anna? Lift it up. Not this morning. Okay, okay. And then come with your hips ever so gracefully down to the mat. Bend your knees. And then maybe you need a little. And slide your heels in close to your buttocks. And then feel that your feet are hip distance apart. And then spin your heels out a little bit. Push down with your feet and inhale, lift up your hips. Exhale, just roll them back down, one vertebrae at a time. Then inhale, lift up your hips. And then one more time, roll one vertebrae at a time down to the ground. Your sacrum is the last thing to touch. And then inhale, lift up your hips. Spin your inner thighs towards one another. Feel your chest rolling back towards your face, your knees moving away. Maybe you shimmy your shoulders underneath and hold hands. Come a little higher for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and roll down. Take a full inhale. You can sigh out your exhale. And then inhale, lift up your hips again, coming into either bridge or wheel. So if you feel warm, feel free to bring your hands next to your ears and push up first to the crown of your head. And then all the way up. Squeeze your elbows together. Yes. And then bring your chin to your chest and gently release. Back bends are crazy. They get better the more you do them. And they're one of the things that with our practice, at least for myself, I feel that when I've not been practicing enough, they go away quickly. So let's do one more. Do this one for me. I also like to, beautiful Peter. Squeeze your elbows together, spin your toes in, feel the earth, push down on it. Think good thoughts. Do you want to watch the front of the mat yet, Anna?
No.
Okay. And then find your edge, kiss it hello, and then make your way back out of the pose. This time, just for a moment, let your knees fall together as your feet slide out. This automatically releases your lower back a little bit. It's always also a position you can take in Shavasana if your back's hurting when you lie totally flat. And then hug your knees to your chest. Roll back and forth on your spine. And roll up to a seated position. And first we're going to do the Mahabandha. So it's called the Grand Lock. You want to get your legs engaged, your hands sliding behind you and pushing down to the ground. So this is the Pada and the Hasta bandhas. And then you're going to pull in your root lock, lifting your perineum towards your spine. And then you're going to pull in your belly, pulling your Uddiyana Bandha in. Another way to think of the Uddiyana Bandha is actually, or as part of it, is creating space between your ribs and your hips. We so often focus on that you kind of pull your however you point in. Just point 2 fingers below your belly button. But it's really also about this length that you're creating, and that automatically then helps pull in that spot. Then you're going to do Jalandhara Bandha, which is your chest lifting to your chin and your chin reaching down to your chest. Now let's just exhale our breath through our mouth and then keep our breath out for a couple moments, engaging this grand Mahabandha. So take a nice inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And then engage your bandhas. Spin your hands around, Peter, so your fingers are pointing back towards you. And then you can release your bandhas, inhale your breath. Let's do it one more time. So the idea is that you actually keep your breath out in Kumbhaka, that you're not breathing in. And right before you take your inhale, you want to leave enough control that you can release your bandhas and then take your inhale in. So take an inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, engage your bandhas, release your bandhas. Inhale in, raise your arms up, and with your exhale, lie forward, bend forward, holding onto your feet or your shins. Are you wincing because of your back, Peter? Does it hurt your lower back there?
Everything hurts.
Everything hurts. Well, at least that's consistent. Holding onto your shins or your feet. Your gaze is on your shins or your feet. Your legs can still be active. Paschimottanasana. And then inhale, lift up your chest, release your hands, and you're gonna rock back and come into plow, or it might be plow. If your toes don't touch the ground, you can take your feet a little bit wider. If they still don't touch the ground, you can bend your knees and bring your knees towards your forehead. We're just here right now as a transition. You want to slide your hands to your back and then pull your hands down your spine, bringing your hands to your shoulders and lift up into shoulder stand. If you're blessed to be a woman and you're experiencing your flow, lots of teachers will teach not to do inversions during your cycle. Other teachers tell you not to even practice. But your biggest teacher is going to be your own body. So discover what makes the most sense for you. I find that after inversions, I can really set my clock to it. About an hour later, I'll get cramps if it's during my cycle. It's also a wonderful moment just to appreciate your beautiful belly. It might not be as skinny as some models. You might have the Venus delight or the Buddha loveliness. But I find a lot of modern people tend to not like their belly. So it's a radical act for yourself and other people to actually like your belly. I'm working on it myself. Squeeze your elbows a little bit together. Feel your hips come towards your face, your feet move away from you. And then bring your feet back into Halasana, to plow pose. And let's do Pindasana. So bend your knees and bring your knees to your ears. And either interlace your fingers beyond your spine, or you can hold on to the backs of your calves. If you're holding hands beyond your spine, push down with your arms and feel that your shins sink down towards your ears. It's a weird experience, like the back, the foot and the head thing, you know? And then release your hands and slowly roll out of your pose. And today we're going to come into a yin fish. So you want to squeeze your elbows together. Bring your feet essentially into Supta Baddha Konasana, but with your heels 2 hands length away from your groin. And then drop your head back. This is the yin fish. It kind of looks like the lazy man's Matsyasana. But it should open up your chest as a counter from the shoulder stand. If your neck hurts doing this, you can bring your chin to your chest. So let's hear the words of Langston Hughes again. The Negro speaks of rivers. I've known rivers, ancient as the world, and older than the flow of human blood and human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built a hut near the Congo, and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. Lower your chest down to the ground and hug your knees to your heart, maybe lifting up your face. Radical self-love, giving yourself a kiss, thanking your knees for bringing you this far, this way. And then open up your arms into a T and slowly drop your knees to the left. So it's a little sneaky abdominal work. So we're going to the left. And take your gaze to the right. I mean, we're going to do the other side, Dorothea. It's not that big of a deal. You want to notice that your knees are as high as your hips, at least, so that the spine, so the spine gets the twist. Take a full inhale, and with your exhale, just sigh out. Ah. And then inhale, bring your knees back to center. Feel free to sneak in another little kiss. And then slowly lower your knees to the right. Take your gaze to the left once your knees have landed. You can turn your left palm down to the ground and lower your hand so it's lower than your shoulder. And that helps relax your shoulder, but also helps ground your shoulder blade down. Then inhale back to center. Hug your knees to your chest one last time. And then place your feet on the ground and lift up your hips and just roll your spine one vertebrae at a time down to the ground. And from there, stretch your legs long. With your palms facing up already, you can lift up your chest and pinch your shoulder blades together and drag your shoulder blades down your spine. And then let your ribs drop back down. Close your eyes, let the ground hold you. Your next inhale, invite your breath to the edges of your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Feeling your awareness carried on your breath. And then stretch long, and then with your exhale, hug your knees to your chest and roll onto your right hand side. And help yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Allow your hands to meet at heart center. Lift long and tall. Empty your breath and join me in one final Om. Take a deep inhale. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward, together we say, Namaste. And then make some noise. Good morning.
Morning.
Cha-ching.